Welcome back, YouTube. It is Sunday, December 22nd, and it is cold. We're kicking off another episode of our Skoolie edition of Orion Homestead Projects. This time we're going to talk about closing in those wheel wells. I'm going to run through some historical stuff I did with electrical work and deleting all the school bus wires. And I'll probably throw a few other things in there, like getting the insulation on the floor and cutting plywood and getting that all ready so that on Christmas Eve I can glue it all down and weight it all down and be ready to start building. With that said, let's get started. Alright, well, let's talk about what I plan on doing for these wheel wells. As you see in front of you here, I've got some 1¼ by 1¼ angle iron. I actually cut a 45 out of this so that I could bend it around and make it all one piece in this particular realm. They were only 6 feet long, so I couldn't do the whole thing the way I wanted to, but that's alright. I've marked out the location of the holes that I'm going to drill through this. And I'm going to actually rivet this to the floor of the metal frame floor of the bus. I'm going to do the pilot holes first, bring this in, get it squared up, get it exactly where I want it, try to clamp it down somehow, and then from there we'll drill the pilot holes through the floor in the bus, and then drill the rivet holes, because I'm going to rivet this all down in there. Once it's in, well, before it's in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut plywood, 3/4 inch pressure treated plywood. This is going to sit inside like this around the base of the wheel well as tight as possible, and then I will be drilling holes on the outside and be using 1/4 inch stainless steel bolts with lock nuts and stuff to go across there to hold that plywood in place. They'll also I got me a pocket hole thing. I'm going to try that. I've never used those before. Probably going to tack it in with some edge screws first, and then try the pocket holes just to see how that works, and try to get some skill with doing pocket holes in plywood and stuff, because I got a lot of that to do in here. So there's basically the idea. I have this cut and framed so that it's going to sit right up next to the wheel well. I did this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I've seen a lot of people use framing lumber on to close in around the wheel wells. I didn't want to do that because there's not a lot of space in between the wheel wells, and I didn't want to chew that up with just frame. So I'm doing this and using the strength and structural integrity of the plywood to give me more of a supporting base. All this will be insulated on the inside, and I've got some sound deadening stuff I'll be putting on. I'll show you that later. The other thing is that when this is all said and done, I'm going to be putting a 42-gallon water tank on top of it, one on each side of the bus to balance the weight, and to put the weight over the wheels to, number one, give me a solid place for the weight. Number two, let the weight actually maybe help with some of the ride and smooth it out, because it'll have a lot of weight over the top of the wheels. It's 42 gallons, so you'll have 84 gallons of water sitting over the wheels centered across the axle. So hoping that'll work. I'm going to get into it. Next thing to do is start drilling all these holes. So I drilled one just to see how long it would take. I'll do a couple of them on real time, and then we'll go into time lapse and get this all piloted out. Alright, so I got them all drilled, as you can see right here. Got them in the center of the metal. Got them all drilled all the way around. Now again, this is just the bottom part. This is not the part that's going to go for the plywood. This is what goes to the actual bottom of the bus. But they're all drilled out and ready to go. So let's bring one of them inside and I'll show you how it's going to look on wheel wells. Alright, well here's the first one in place. As you can see, I've got it lined up. I've also got it fairly squared. When I did the bends here, I actually clamped this thing to the square and forced the issue to make sure that it was fairly close to square in its resting state. At this point, it is pretty much in place. It is tied up against the wheel well right here. And I've got it lined up, sort of. What I'm doing is, you see that line right there, that's actually the sheet metal for the wheel well itself, and this is the actual bus floor. So I'm trying to keep this in line with the edge of the metal for the wheel well itself, keeping it square. As you can see, I got a little gap here, so I push it forward. And then what I'm going to do now is go through the holes and drill pilot holes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this first one, and then I've got some number 8 by 1 inch self-tapping screws, so I'm going to lock this down, and then that way any adjustments I make can maintain square, and then just follow it from there on out. And once I get out here drilled, I'll put one out here, and that'll lock this thing in place. And then I'll do the same thing down the long arm and put one on the other end to lock it in place. And then I'll be able to come in with my drill for the rivets and go ahead and get this drilled out. So that's where we're at right now. I'll go through a little bit of this and show you how it's going to work. Hopefully the camera don't fall again like it did on the last drilling episode, but we'll see what we can get done. And other things I want to check, so you can see it over here, to see how this squares up with the wall of the bus. And it's pretty close. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. Matter of fact, close enough for a bus, that's for sure. So let's drill a hole and get this thing locked down. I hope this works the way that I envisioned it. We shall see. Oh, locked in place. Nice. Okay. Make sure this is square. Make sure this is where I want it. For right now, just drill a bit back in, drill this hole, swap out, lock it in. That ain't going nowhere. All right, now, I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, verify, validate that this is all square. The way I want it to be. it is. So I'm going to go lock one down on the other end as well. Bring you along for the ride. And do this one. Well, that didn't work. Snap the head right off. Hole is quite big enough, but it's locked in place, so I don't know. At this point, I can go back to just drilling out all these holes and get them ready for the rivet hole, because it is in place where I want it to be. One thing I do want to check real quick though, slide this back so you can see, bring this up, and we are square, which is what I want, because I'm going to be using plywood and I want the top of the plywood to be completely square. So at this point I'm going to drop it back on time lapse, get all these holes drilled. I'm going to do both the pilot holes and the 1/4 inch holes for the rivets and get this all done, and then I can get this out of the way. I'm going to have to figure out a way to get that broken screw out too, but that's another job. Always something. So let's get this one time lapse and get it done. Well, folks, I think it's too cold. Just so you're aware. Brand new drill bit just put in, drilling the first hole, and it snapped on me. So I'm gonna have to clean that up. My battery's about to die in this camera. It's too cold. These lithium batteries don't like this, so I'm gonna try to get this thing charged back up. Hopefully I'll have that taken care of and maybe some of this stuff drilled out and be able to get this moving forward. I'll be back in a bit. So with the magic of internet, I'm back. It's about an hour and a half later, maybe less. One of the things I did want to point out while I was doing this is I made a test bit on the rivets to make sure they were going to go through the hole. It's kind of glary because the sun's right behind me and about to set, but this is the extended reach rivets that I got for the top on the other side. You can see how much further they go through than the other ones that I had right here. And that's why I had to get those longer ones. So far on this project, I've used almost 2,000 rivets on this bus doing the work that I've done. I bought 500 of these long ones and used them on the right side of the bus. I've got 10 left and I started running out, so I started using these to pull it down and then using the shorter ones where I could to make it work and get it all the way to the end so I would have enough. I bought originally a box of 1,000, so I was going to run out, bought another 500 of these shorter ones and then 500 of these. I've only got 10 of the long ones, and I don't have 500 left of the other ones. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you real quick. But anyway, got this thing all drilled out, got it drilled for the rivets as you can see, and I put some of those in there. The floor on the wheel well is drilled out as well. Got both of them done. One of the things that I'm going to do is get the side drilled for the plywood where that's going to bolt up, and then once I get that drilled, because I don't want to try to drill it next to the floor, once I get that drilled I'm going to put these in and get them riveted down. Not going to do that today because I'm running out of daylight. It's going to get dark here pretty quick because it is getting, well, it's past the shortest day of the year, but the sun sets pretty quick, so I'm running out of time. But I did want to show you that I did get it done. I had another screw break on me. I wound up having to drill that one out, and it's not fun drilling out a stainless steel screw by any means, but got them both out, got everything drilled, got everything in place, ready to go. I think the next thing that I'm going to do is start working on cutting my foam to length. I need to get a total of 3 more sheets cut down to the right width so that I can put them in there. I think I'll probably do that next and get those knocked out real quick. I want to show you a little tool that I have too that I use that makes that very quick work. I'm really happy with it. So with that, I'm going to move this stuff out of the way, get a sheet of foam up here, and then show you that tool, and then we're going to call it a wrap. Alright, so this is the tool that I got. I got this off of Amazon. It is a heat cutter for made specifically for this foam, and I have to tell you, I love this thing working on this foam because it makes cutting it very quick and very easy. I'll give you an example of that real quick. I've been playing with the settings for the heat to make sure that I get it right, but pretty much as soon as you pull the trigger, it's ready to go. Might be a little bit hot, but that's how it works. I've already figured out the dimensions on these, so all I'm going to do is mark and cut them, get these 3 cut. Wanted to show you this real quick in case you wanted to get one. Got it off of Amazon. Not endorsing it or anything, but it does work and I'm really happy with it. So yeah, that's what I got. And the overall dimension is 90.5, but I'm cutting them at 90 because of that side rail that is on the wall. This allows them to slide in underneath that, not leaving a big gap across the bottom of the floor. This one out of the way. Another thing that I found is these markers that I'm using. Got them from that blue block box store, and they work really well. I was using Sharpie, but they tend to fade out pretty quick, and they don't like the cold weather too much, so I'm trying those, and they seem to be working really well. So might have to back the temperature down. It seems to be cutting a little hot. It's set for the blue stuff that that I already have. I got this at a different place, so different brand, so I may have to play with the temperature on that one a little bit. It was set for the blue one, but all that smoke is telling me that it's a little bit too hot for this one. So, just so you're aware. And mark it 90. Mark it 90. And get her cut. Yeah, that's way too hot. I'm gonna have to fix that. I'm gonna have to play with it some more on this this different foam. But anyway, prior to this, I was using a skill saw and cutting this stuff up, and created a lot of dust, and wasn't really good for the skill saw. So I got that, and as you can see, that is much faster than trying to cut through that with a skill saw anyway. So I like it. Wanted to share it, and from that, I've got all the foam cut that I need to take the floor all the way up to the front of the bus to just behind the driver's seat. I'll get that laid in, and then we'll call it a wrap for today, because it's getting really cold and the sun's going down and it's going to get dark really quick. So with the magic of the internet, I'll be right back, but it'll be another day. Welcome back, and as promised, it is definitely another day. Not the day I expected, which would have been Monday the 23rd. It is now Saturday the 28th. The weather did not cooperate with some of the things that I wanted to do. I did do some other things off camera to get everything set and staged so that I could make some progress. Unfortunately, today it is dark, dreary, rainy, and cold. So I'm going to run through everything that I have done so far, give you a little insight on what the process is. As soon as it gives me a break in the rain, I'll run some cords and put some light in here so we can see better, and I'll take you on time lapse and try to get the rest of the floor in. So let's run through everything that I've got going on. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff back there. I've got the floor from the back door all the way up to the front of the wheel wells, all glued and screwed. It's all permanent, not coming up anymore. I've seen a lot of people just glue the stuff down. I had some concerns with that, considering that the metal floor is very smooth. So I put a few screws in. I didn't put a lot. I figured if it was working with just glue, a couple of screws here and there to add to the compressive strength and hold it in place would be better. So I did that. As you can see, I've got the wheel wells boxed in. The tops are on temporarily. I need to open them back up, finish them out inside, insulate them and things like that. I did put my sound deadening material in there over the top of the wheel wells, but I'm going to open them back up and put some insulation in there to seal those up better, and then install the 2 water tanks. There's one on this side. I'm going to have another one on this side. It's going to give me a total of 84 gallons of fresh water in here when it's all said and done. Another thing that I want to point out, which I'll be working on, is if you see, I've got this channel running in front of the wheel wells all the way across the bus. And the reason that I'm doing that is I'm going to have the water fill over here on this side of the bus, and it will feed into that top port right there as a gravity feed into the tanks. So from this fitting right here, I'm going to put a balance tube that's going to run across and come over to the water tank that will be on this side. Beauty of water is it's self-leveling, so if I fill this tank up, they will self-level across that balance tube, across the two of them, and I'll only have to have one gravity feed inside. I'll plug the one on the other side off. I'm also going to set it up so that I have a drain down here. That orange thing is just a spacer, but I'm going to have a drain that'll go through the floor of the bus there, so that if I ever need to drain these, it will be at the lowest point and both tanks will drain completely. I'm also going to put my input water supply to the rest of the bus as low as possible down there, so that I get the most use of the water that's there, and also it'll come out of the balance tube instead of directly out of the tanks themselves. A little bit of work, a little bit of engineering. I've got some other infrastructure that I'm going to put in this area right here. I've got a water filtration system. I've got an accumulator pump, some things like that that'll go in here. There's my hot water heater. Directly above that will be where the stove is with an oven. One of the next things I'm going to do in my next video is do the propane infrastructure and get that all tied in and make sure that it doesn't leak. I'll probably use air to check for leaks, but I want to make sure that it's sound and solid. So let me give you a little rundown on how this all works. So I used the PL300 foam board glue. One of the things that I did was come in here. You can see there's, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of dark in here. I had to countersink the holes into the Advantech flooring because they were 3-inch foam insulations too. This is 3/4. That wasn't a lot, so I've checked. I've got a 1/2 inch of bite underneath the bus where these are coming through, so that should be solid. It won't have a problem. So countersunk the holes, put the self-tapping screws in. They drilled through the floor without an issue and pulled this stuff down. If you look in there, you might be able to see the compressive strength of the screws push the glue out a little bit. So that worked out well. I'm going to put a piece of 1-inch foam insulation underneath here in this channel so that I'm insulating the pipes that run across here. I also have some little heating pads that I'm going to put on it so that they don't freeze from the cold from the underside of the bus coming into it. And then this will be open and spaced. I've got a threshold that's going to run across between the wheel wells here so that I always have access to that plumbing that's running across the bus up here on the inside. So I've got from the back, I've got 1-inch insulation right there at the back door with the Advantech on top of it. I did that for a specific purpose that I'll show you later. And then it goes up to the 2-inch. The bed will be back there. The shower is approximate to where it will be located. On this side, I'll have my composting toilet and a vanity sink. The one big challenge that I'm trying to figure out is all the drains. I'm going to put my 2 gray water tanks underneath the bus, one on each side, one for the vanity, one for the shower and the sink. And I'm also going to employ that balance tube across the gray water tanks as well. So that'll be coming up down the road. I do still need, earlier in the video you saw me doing the angle iron and stuff. I do still need to put that piece in here. I did this temporarily just to square this up so that I could get my measurements and make sure that I knew what I needed for my flooring and get that down. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. I got to let it warm up a little bit. It's still too cold for that glue, but I'm going to start moving this flooring out of the way, get it all cleaned up and get it ready. And then when the temperature gets up just enough to where I can start doing it, put this on time lapse and run through the process starting back there at the wheel wells and running forward. I can't go all the way up because right in this area right here is where my gas tank access is. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger and frame that out so that I have access to that. I'm doing that because I also want to tap the tank for a diesel heater that'll go in here. So I'm going to make that a little bit bigger so it's easier to get to. Right now it's only like about a 6-inch hole. So I'm going to do something with that. So I probably won't be able to get this all the way forward today. The next video I'll go through, even if I work on it today, the next video I'll go through what I did to create the tank access and stuff. Put that in the next video. We'll do propane. And then we'll probably start the insulation and strapping so that I can get the shower and the bed frame and stuff in back there. My intent is to work from the back of the bus forward and get everything done as I go from the back forward and get everything in place. I want to get the floor all the way to the front, because right here behind where the driver's seat is where I'm going to put all of my electronics, because the batteries are right there. So I'm minimizing the amount of the transmission type wires and the big wire that I need to use. So all of my electronics is going to be right here in this area. And then the only thing that'll go back is feeder circuits to everything else. So with that, I'm going to turn this off. When you see me again, it'll be on time lapse, and we'll be running through this entire process of getting this floor glued and screwed. Until I get that tank access done. I've only got 2 more pieces to go. Yeah, I'll have a mess to clean up. I can't believe that thing overshot like that, but I'll get that up. But you saw the process. I leave the front edge loose because I want it to have a little bit of flexibility for trying to line up that tongue and groove. But there's the 2 sheets, the foam, the process. I've got the panels, the subfloor panels lapped over the foam by 2 feet so that none of the seams line up. Carry that all the way to the front. And 2 pieces of foam and 2 pieces of plywood, and this will all be done. Going through that glue quite fast. It takes quite a bit. And I want to make sure there's plenty down there, so I might be doing a little bit more than I need to, but This is actually what's left of the third case of glue, which has covered from the back door back there all the way up to here. I've got enough maybe to get the foam down, but not the plywood, so I'm gonna have to get some more. But you saw the process, that's how it goes. I'm gonna wrap this video up, get this posted. Next video that I do, I'll be working on the fuel tank access, getting that enlarged and finish out the floor to the front. The other thing that I'll be doing is opening up those wheel wells again and getting all the insulation and all that closed out and show you what it looks like inside of there and get those permanently affixed and attached. I want to start working on getting the shower set, so I'll probably start working on strapping and stuff where I have the shower and the water tank and stuff. I want to get those water tanks locked in. Once I get all that in place, I'll probably start working on getting my water infrastructure in place and putting that in here to see how that's going to lay out so that I can lay out the rest of the kitchen. But for the record, so the hot water heater is going to go there, stove is going to go above it. I still haven't figured out where I'm going to put the sink yet, whether it's going to be on this side or this side, I'm not sure. I'll figure that out. Probably going to put it on the back side so it's closer to the water tank so I don't have as much plumbing. One of the biggest challenges that I'm going to try to figure out is how to get the sink drain over the wheel well, because it'll be in front of the wheel well, getting it over the wheel well and down so it'll tie into where the shower goes into the gray water tank. On this side over here where I put the bathroom with the vanity and the composting toilet, the vanity will be behind the wheel well, so that won't be a problem. And like I said, I'm going to split the gray water tanks on each side and balance them together. But anyway, that's where we are right now. Got me a mess to clean up. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. Try to migrate a little bit of weight over to the top of this wood that I've got up here and call it a day.